Good afternoon. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Business and Inspection Housing and Zoning Committee for August 8th, 2023. I'm Jamal Osman, and I'll be chairing this committee today. We have Councilmember Jason Chavez.
I don't think you're on here yet.
Yeah, it's on. Yep. In present, we have Councilmember Jason Chavez. We have Councilmember Rainville. We have Councilmember Aisha Chuktai, and also Councilmember Allison will be joining us very soon. The agenda for today's meeting is before us. I will begin with the consent agenda, including items 3 through 13. Staff will come up to make a correction for item 9, Amy Carr.
Item number 9 is a grant acceptance for LCA pre-development grants. There is an error on the address for one of the projects, the Loma project, which is located at 3246 Nicollet Avenue, not 2346 Nicollet Avenue. So just wanted to note that for the committee.
Thank you so much. Is there any discussion on item 3 to 13? Are there any items? Councilmember Chavez?
Yeah, Councilman Osman, I'm just excited about item number 6. This is a legislative directive that my office, Councilor Payne, and our staff in Reg Services are bringing forward. And the goal is to have an internal city work group to investigate issues with non-rent payment fees that are being charged by property owners and look at potential remedies to help release that burden on renters. We know that, for example, if I pay rent online and I get charged like $6 to pay through an online portal, you add that times 12, that's like groceries for a family that they can pay for in 1 year. And having groceries for a family that doesn't have enough money to afford food can be a big deal to a lot of people. But this is just a legislative directive to explore options in ways that we can reduce some of these fees in the city. And then I'd like to just pull number 5 for a separate vote. I can't support the renewal of this liquor license. I visited this location twice in the High Lake in June. They didn't check my ID, which is legal. And I have deep concerns about the current practices and lack of community safety plans that this liquor store has. And I will just be moving, I'll be voting against this liquor license renewal.
Thank you. Are there any comments? Any other comments? I would like to also recognize item 7, support for Minneapolis Public Housing Authority. We have a group of residents here that come. I'd like to recognize that. That passive resolution supporting Minneapolis Public Housing to preserve and expand permanently public-owned and permanently affordable housing. If there's no other discussion, I will move item item 5 you pull out. I'll move all items from 3 to 13 except item 5 for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those in opposed say nay. That carries, and those items are approved. Now, we would like to go back to item 5. Is there staff that can talk about item 5? May come. And what ward that is? 9.
Chair Osman, Eric Hansen, interim CPED director. What you have is a annual renewal of a license for High Lake Liquors. Item number 5. After working with the council member's office, the staff went through a series of checks. Based on those checks, we are recommending renewing the license.
Thank you, Dr. Eric. With that, I will move item 5 for approval, and I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Ellison is absent. Chavez.
No.
Chugtai. Osman.
Aye.
There are 3 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 absent.
The item has been approved. Thank you. And now, we're gonna start public hearing number 1 on item Reverie Cafe, Bar 151735 on Ward 9. I have the staff to give presentation.
Thank you, Chair Osman and committee members. I'm Licensed Inspector Max Cervantes, Licenses and Consumer Services. I'm presenting an application from Reverie Cafe and Bar, owned by Balua LLC. The business address is 1517 35th Street East, located in Ward 9. The current license is an on-sale wine and strong beer, limited entertainment, and food catering license. The applicant is requesting a permanent expansion of premises. Reverie Cafe and Bar has been operating at this location since 2019. The proposed permanent expansion would include a newly constructed patio with 36 seats on private property located on the west side of the restaurant, as well as a street cafe with 16 seats located directly in front of the patio on 35th Street. This is in addition to the 50 seats inside of the restaurant already. The proposed patio area would have speakers for ambient music only. The proposed hours of operation for their expanded areas are the same as they currently are, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 9:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. On July 17th, public hearing notices were sent to residents and property owners within 300 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to Councilmember Chavez. We received 3 comments from the community, 1 in support of this application and 2 are opposed. Their concerns were regarding additional generation of sound and on-street parking. In the noise plan provided in the application, Reverie proposes having speakers on the patio for ambient music only. Any live entertainment will be provided inside of the restaurant, not on the patio. The plan also details the volume of the patio speakers will be kept at a low volume and decreased the later it gets. The applicant has also agreed to have a sound level reading conducted by Minneapolis Environmental Health prior to using patio speakers to ensure the levels are compliant with ambient noise ordinance. Prior noise complaints received by Environmental Health were investigated and no violations were found. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of a permanent expansion of premises for Reverie Cafe and Bar. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I will stand for any comments or questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Do any of my colleagues have any questions? Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I just look forward to seeing that newly constructed patio. So I want to thank our staff for working really hard on this and for Reverie for the work they're doing. And I'd love to move approval.
Councilmember Chavez, move for approval. Is there any other comments? Oh, okay. I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing and ask, I have a list here. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name, but I have a Kristen Wiegman.
Thank you, Chair Osman and council members. It's Kirsten Vigman, but that's a common issue. So you guys have everything you need in front of you right now for our approval, but my name's Kirsten. I'm one of the owners of Reverie Cafe. We've been in this location for 3 years, and I just wanted to share a little bit about who we are and what we're trying to do. Starting a small business has been a long road for my partner Jeff and I, scrapping it with minimal resources, learning all these systems that exist, meeting a ton of people to eventually opening our brick and mortar in Powderhorn in December of 2019, so just 3 months before the pandemic started. We're a neighborhood cafe with livable wages for our team that values bringing people together around food, art, and creativity, and ensuring that everyone has access to good food when they need it. Reverie's a gathering place for people, and we're so happy that it's found the right home. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have, but I think the important thing is that we feel like we're in the right place and we're doing the right thing for the community right now. To be ultra clear, this expansion of premises allows us to enhance the offerings that we're already providing, including adding increased accessibility to the garden. Currently, we're using the space through a temporary expansion of premises, so what we're proposing really isn't going to change very much with regard to parking or noise. We're just creating a more formal space for people to use, and then again, like creating more access to the space. So regarding the noise complaints, there are some issues with when sound permits were granted and to our neighbors or our collaborators for events in the garden. They were investigated and found to be within the bounds of reasonable sound. When we host shared events, like our goal is about vibrancy and creating community and providing gathering spaces, but we also carefully follow all of the rules associated with getting permits for the events and notifying and inviting all our neighbors to each event. We do not go past the permitted noise levels during the events, and we end on time. And we propose that we would position our speakers very intentionally to keep the sound in the garden. We do work really hard to be respectful of our neighbors and everyone's needs, and also to continue to bring these offerings to our community. So I guess we've worked with a million amazing people along the way, and we're really grateful to all the city staff that helped us get to this point. It's been 3 years in the making. So we're grateful to you for your consideration, and we appreciate in advance, hopefully, your approval of this expansion of premises. Thanks.
Thank you for your testimony. There's another person I will call is Tapitha Montgomery. Tapitha?
Thank you, Chair Osmond and your fellow council members. My name is Tabitha Montgomery. I have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of the Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association, and I am actually really delighted to give testimony. I am very clear as to what the BIZ Committee's responsibility is in terms of helping to ensure the vitality of economic development in our community as a city and as a whole. And I also recognize humbly that none of that is possible without the people. I'm here to speak specifically about the quality and the character of the business owners that we have the fortune of running Reverie Cafe, specifically Kirsten Wick-Vigman and Jeffrey Thurkelson. They are present, they are proactive, they are persistent, and they are responsive. They have taken every reasonable step by which to put forward a business expansion plan that is being celebrated in community to continue to activate that corner at 35th and Bloomington. For so long, the city has recognized through its business development support grant, Great Streets program, that corner in different stages has been either designated as an intervene, or support, meaning that there needed to be deep resources of support to help ensure the activation of that particular commercial node. And between Kirsten's vision and certainly Ephraim Isibio, who is also here in support of this particular project as a business owner at that corner, we believe that the activation and the sustainability of that corner is being driven because of these business owners, not only their present vision, but the vision that they've put forward in terms of business expansion. So as a representative of the community on behalf of the Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association, we enthusiastically encourage the council to affirm this particular request.
Thank you so much. Next person is Lori Stanley.
Thank you, Chairperson and committee members. My husband and I own an office building just around the corner from Reverie, and I'm here in enthusiastic support of this as well. Reverie and Kirsten and Jeff are incredible neighbors. They listen, they are respectful, they're about building community and neighborhood and bringing economic vitality to that corner. And I also just have such confidence in them that if there are issues, they're very good. They work it out with the neighbors because they care about the neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there anyone who would like to speak? I'm trying to figure out where I am. With that, I'll close the public hearing and call Councilmember Chavez to make a motion.
Thank you, Councilman Osman. As I said earlier, I want to thank the staff for working really hard on this. Kirsten, thank you for being here, and to all the Reverie staff. and folks that are doing great work in Ward 9. And Tabitha, it's always great to see you here in the community supporting great causes and Ward 9 residents advocating for this beautiful thing that's about to happen. So with all that said, Chair Osman, I'd like to move approval and would be honored to do that.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Chavez has approved that item. All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and all those opposed say nay. The item has been carried. Now, I would like to recognize Councilmember Allison, who will join us. Is present. With that, and then now we will move to the next item. It's public hearing number 2. The Transportation Rideshare Protection Ordinance. I'll invite the staff to give presentation. Emilingo.
Good afternoon, Chair Osman and committee members. I'm Amy Lingo, Manager of Licenses and Consumer Services, presenting an ordinance amendment relating to Title 13, Chapter 343, Transportation Network Companies. The goal of this proposed ordinance is to expand driver protections, including a minimum wage equivalent to increase income and economic stability for the entire TNC driver workforce. First, we'll discuss the policy compensation. With this ordinance, if it goes into effect, there will be a guaranteed wage of $1.40 per mile and 51 cents per minute while a rider is in vehicle. So not on the way to pick up the rider, not after the rider's been dropped off, but while a rider is in vehicle, the driver will get $1.40 per mile and 51 cents per minute, and this is only within the Minneapolis borders. There is a $5 minimum. So if the total of the ride adds up to $3.17, they are still guaranteed $5. There is also protection in there for canceled ride fees, 80% of which would be guaranteed to go to the driver in this ordinance. Tip protections are also listed. There are no deductions without consent or for the TNC profit other than those that are legally mandated. So child support deductions, you can't opt out of that, but any other deductions need written approval from the driver before they can be withdrawn from the account. There's also a lot of transparency measures in this ordinance, such as a cost transparency and receipt transparency. Drivers and riders will be given a receipt which will include ride data, origination and drop-off, mileage time, and that would also include the amount that the driver received from the paid fare on the customer's receipt. As far as the categories of driver and rider safety, we have a couple of important facts in there. No gift cards will be eligible as a form of payment. And by gift cards, we mean like prepaid gift cards like Visa. You can't go to Target and buy a Visa gift card and use that to create your Uber and Lyft account because there's no identity associated with those. Uber and Lyft does offer gift cards. Those would not qualify in this. You could still use those. Drivers with convictions or stays related to violent crimes are permanently deactivated. There is a clear list about what that definition of violent crime is. So if you're convicted of murder and you're an Uber or Lyft driver, you are permanently deactivated, then you do not get to come back. But there are no changes to the driver or rider in their ability to report misconduct. That process will remain as it is. In the category of driver's rights, various things are listed, such as no retaliation from TNCs, no limits on collective bargaining. The regulations are to be available in writing at all times. There are to be clear rules about what merits a deactivation. Drivers are to get 5 days' notice before deactivation, assuming it's not a major infraction. If you are accused of something, sexual assault, drunk driving, those things would be an immediate deactivation because they are very safety mindset. However, next item, drivers get 15 days to challenge the deactivation, and they must have a meeting with the companies within 7 days. So the drivers have 15 days to challenge, and then the companies have to respond to that challenge within 7 days. The drivers have the right to bring representation of their choice to those meetings. If the TNC cannot substantiate or prove the claim, then they have the right to have that deactivation removed. The driver has that right. Also, we have a reconsideration of any driver that was deactivated between January 1st, 2021 and 2023. So if a driver was deactivated in that two-year window, they can request to be reactivated. Also listed in the ordinance is the creation of the Driver's Resource Center. In this ordinance, the city themselves, we will not create the resource center, but we may contract and or fund a nonprofit organization that would operate as a resource center, much like Homeline operates. The goal of that resource center would be to provide services for education, advocacy, and representation. In order to qualify as an official driver's resource center, they must have cultural capability, industry familiarity, and expertise. They are also not to be influenced by the TNC. This concludes my presentation. I will stand by for any comments or questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Do any of my colleagues have any question for the staff? Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you talk about this resource center. Do you have any idea of the cost associated with building it, operating it?
We do not have at this time. It would be a third-party organization that we may contract with, or we may offer funding if the ordinance passes. So it would go through the normal budgetary process that we would offer any other outside organization.
Okay, thank you. And you talked about deduction protection. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more? What does that mean?
A prime example is the TNCs offer sometimes a rental car program where you can rent a car from them and then they deduct those fees. So you would have to pre-approve the deductions and the fees as part of that process before they just start taking the money out.
Okay.
So they just can't come up with fees for whatever purpose that you did not pre-approve unless they are legally mandated fees, such as child support payments.
Got it. Thank you, Director. I have a couple more.
Go ahead.
And I'll save the tough one for last. Has there been any conversation or thought into how the additional fees will affect the riders who use these?
At this time, there are other states and cities that have enacted a similar program. There is not concrete data, but what that has done to rider prices. There's some anecdotal data, but there hasn't been any research yet of what it has done. So there might be an impact, but at this time, we do not know what that would look like.
Okay, and the reason there's not data is because these are new ordinances and rules, or?
It's relatively new. It started in Seattle was one of the first places to start it in 2019. So it hasn't been around for a long time. COVID really impacted those data studies, and it's kind of hard to get a lot of that information because a lot of things can affect the prices. So we have anecdotal data from Seattle that prices have rise consumer side for this, but we don't have verifiable.
Sure. And what about, have the companies, Uber, Lyft, have they been involved in these discussions at all?
Uber and Lyft are aware of this ordinance. They were involved with the state, and they are involved currently with the state process, but we have not had any concrete input with them on the creation of this ordinance.
Okay, thank you. And then that leads into my last question, which is, the state is doing this process. So if we pass some type of ordinance, is this good, bad, indifferent? How does it affect what the governor's task force is involved with right now? And I believe that report is due in a couple months.
So I do not know how we will impact the governor's or the task force's decision-making process. They are due to report in January of 2024. If this ordinance is passed, it will go into effect January of 2024. If the state does pass their own statewide ordinance or wage protection measures, they could put in where they would overturn and or preempt ours. Mm-hmm. It all depends on how it is written and what they decide.
Great. Thank you, Director. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the staff? Thank you so much for your presentation. Oh, yes, also, I do want to recognize the author of this ordinance, Councilmember Wansley, and here I'll invite her to speak.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Osmond. I just want to also say thank you to my co-authors, which includes you as well as Councilmember Chavez. I just want to reemphasize also thanks to our staff who has worked closely with all three of us over the past 7.5 months, along with the drivers who are here today, along with stakeholders in Seattle, which, as you highlighted, was one of the first cities to pass this, and that set unprecedented mandate at the time for a statewide form of legislation that went on to pass in Washington. So I'm really excited about Minneapolis taking a pathway, as we've done before with the 15 minimum wage policy, with earn sick and safe time, with wage theft protections. We've constantly been a trailblazer for worker protections, often leading the state. Which I often, refer to the fact that there would be no paid leave program at the state had not Minneapolis took the steps in 2017 to move forward with a robust workers' rights protection. And I think this policy is no different. And I do want to emphasize, while the state is moving ahead, Minneapolis again gets to set an example of what it means to stand with workers, to stand with workers regardless of what industry you're in, as we've done with prior policies, and say that if you are working within Minneapolis, you are going to get minimum wage compensation, get dignified wages. You're going to get the protections that you deserve, and you're going to get the resources to make sure that whatever policies we pass are enforced, so you can reap the material benefits of that, as well as your families, because we know these jobs provide a livelihood and a quality of life, not only for the workers, but also those go into the rest of our communities and double out or ripples out to the city through investments in small businesses and housing and all sorts of public institutions that you need in order to have a functioning city and community. So I, again, just want to thank my co-authors, thank my colleagues here at the city. We worked with almost every single department again for over 7 months. It feels much longer than that, to get to this place where we can move forward with a very strong policy that will have long-standing positive impacts for workers, which is important for a city of Minneapolis, or as elected leaders who say we are a worker-friendly city, we are a pro-union city. Here is one of the opportunities we have the opportunity to put our policy behind what we say. So I just again want to say thank you for everyone in getting us to this point. I look forward to hearing the testimonies.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Now I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing. The clerk informed me that we have 22 people sign up, and I expect many more to come to speak. Each person will be allowed 2 minutes to speak. We also have interpreters available from room 319. Those who would like to use their services, we have Oromo, Somali, and Spanish. The public hearing will need to have a hard stop 3:45. Our meeting will need to stop at the end at 4 o'clock because there's another meeting scheduled at 4:30. Before I open the public hearing, I want to remind each speaker has 2 minutes. Please be respectful. When you are address the committee members. And now, the first speaker I will call, please state your name. It's Ahmed. You have 2 minutes.
There's something that I would like to share with you. So I would like thank you, Osman, Chairman, and thanks for all city members. So today, my name is Ahmed. I'm an Uber driver. I make 3,000 rides in 2 years with Uber. So I'm here to support the bill in front of you. So the reason I'm here, see that's fair. If it's that unfair to you, that's why I'm here today. It's 13 miles and 20 minutes driving. It doesn't include the mile you going to pick up that customer. And I get paid for $4 $0.94. Calculate this. Is that unfair for you? You can afford this bill saying yes, it's unfair. So we are hard workers, and we work 12 hours a day for 7 days. I don't have a time for my kids to take them out. So I know the reason you are here. You can't fight with big corporate. They're ruling us, but what I know, I'm in faith with you. No one is above the law. No matter if you are corporate, no matter if you are president, no one is above the law. What you are doing is right. It's right for us. It's right why you elect us to do your promise that you're serving for us as your community. Not to side with the corporate, which dominated the political system right now. We don't have any lobbyists, but we have a faith and a faith in you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next person I will call, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, is Mariana Brown.
Hi, Chair and all the city member, the council members. My name is Mariana Brown, and I'm an Uber driver. I've been driving for Uber for over 6 years. And what I want to talk about today, because it's unsafeness in the workplace as a woman. And I drive in New York, and I've never been so scared since I drive in the state of Minnesota. What we go through, and okay, we have drivers that passenger come into our car, they're very disrespectful. They threaten us, they talk down to us like we're not human beings. And when we respond to them, they'll go and say, we drunk, we harass them, and then Uber don't listen to us. Because as a person, we don't be a person to Uber, we're just, I don't know what Uber take us for. They don't treat us the way they are. They should treat us. And there's the gift cards is one thing. And they have the pin drop location where you just drop a pin and you could go to a location. I don't know if you understand what I mean. And when you go to that location, sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere. I get scared most of the time and turn around and cancel these trips. When I cancel these trips, I'm getting penalized. I get penalized by Uber for canceling these trips. If you feel unsafe, aren't you supposed to cancel these trips? So what I want to ask the council today, the pay is very bad. We're not making what we're supposed to do. We're not treated fairly as a big corporation. And when we start all this coming here, we went Uber, we gave them face to give us an audience. They didn't give it to us. Now we get to this point, they're trying to fight back, enough people trying to fight back. Where are you all this time when we're coming forward with our problem? Why is our problem wait till we get to this point, now you want to defend yourself? Why did you come and ask for audience from us? That's all I want to know. There's drivers got beaten up. I know drivers got beaten up. Drivers is hurt. And some of them cannot work again with no compensation. How is that possible? You're working for a company and you're making money for them. You're supposed to be covered and you're not. Also, drivers cannot pay their rent. Drivers getting their light turned off, can't buy food for their family. Why are we supposed to live off the city, working 12 hours, 7 days a week to pay our rent and pay our bill when we're working hard? We're hard workers, and we need the city to help us to address this and pass this bill on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next person is Eid Ali.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, City Council members. It's an opportunity for all of us who do this profession for living. I have been driving since 2014, and I am a dad who has 5 kids, and I merely depend on the income that I made from driving. I didn't work since June 16 last year. It was not by choice that I didn't work because of we have been going through a very hard time. And as a result of that, we had 22 drivers who came to a conversation talking about the difficulties that everybody was going through. And in that conversation, we realized that if we don't do something, I mean, we're going to lose our income completely. And that's how we came about getting an organization called Minnesota Uber and Lyft Drivers Association. About a year ago, we were 22, and now we are over 1,200 drivers. And that tells you the need that, and the urgency that everybody is just trying to bring their attention to the officials like you guys. And we did a similarly thing on the state side as well, and I believe everybody is aware of that. I know that I have 2 minutes, even though that majority of them is gone, but I will just tell you that Uber has had the ability to correct most of these problems, but has chosen not to do so. Even after the last legislative session has implemented no improvement for drivers, it gets worse. In some cases, some of the drivers were just facing retaliations. Uber has also threatened to leave towns if they are required to pay fair wage. So they have made these threats in many cities, but many of whom pay more than this ordinance will require, but continue to remain there as profitable companies. So the only thing that Uber has is the software, but everything else is invested by the driver. The car is owned by the driver, the insurance is paid by the driver. I believe every aspect of that business is invested by the driver except, I would say, the software. So I wish I would have a little bit longer time.
Thank you.
But I appreciate the opportunity that you guys give us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony. Next person is Farhan Bodal.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Farhan Badel. I've lived in Minneapolis since 2000. I grew up. This is my city, just like everybody here. What does this bill do? It's about fairness. Uber and Lyft decide to pay drivers different wages. This regulation will eliminate that. It's going to make sure that everybody gets paid fair amount. So equal work, equal pay. That's what we're asking for. As the gentleman here spoke about, the fairness of $4. Imagine somebody driving 13 miles for $4. That's inhumane. And they can do that because they're not regulated. They're spending millions of dollars fighting regulation. They did the same at the state level, and they're doing it here, and we have paid actors here who are going to testify and say that this is not reasonable. I took a gentleman from downtown Minneapolis to the airport a couple of days ago for $60. I was paid $18. Is that fair? No, I'm providing the vehicle, I'm providing the gas, I'm putting in the time. My investment is in that business. They're providing me the software, but they decide to pay whatever they want to any driver. John gets paid 17, I get paid 12. Same distance, same amount of minutes. Samira gets paid 15, Ali's getting paid 19. Same distance, same minutes. We need fairness across the board. Equal work, equal pay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Farhan, for your testimony. Next person is Omar Hassan. And reminder, if you need a translator, there's a translator available. You have to go room 319.
Can I do it with him?
Yes, you can translate for him.
بسم الله السلام عليكم magacaygu waa cumar xuseen xasan.
My name is Umar Hussein Hassan.
waxaan ahaa darawal oo Uber baan ahaan jiray.
I used to be Uber driver.
waxaa la iga xidhay aabka
I was eliminated.
sanadkii 2000 waxaa la iga xidhay May 2020.
He was
I think March, sorry, March baa layga xidhay.
His app was locked in March 2020.
Marka waxaan sheegayaa maanta alxamdulilah waad mahadsantihiin dadka memberska oo maarta ka shaqeeya gurigan.
I'm thankful for you.
Shaqadiinuna waa shaqooyinkan wixii la mida dadka in balance and check lagu sameeyo wixii xaq darraana la qabto wixii wanaagana la support gareeyo.
It's part of your job to make sure everybody is treated fairly.
Waxaan hubaa dadka Uber u shaqeeya inay dulman yihiin oo aad loo dulmiyo.
I believe that Uber drivers are victims of Uber's manipulation.
Dulmigaasina anigu igu dhacay anaa kamid ah dadka.
And I'm one of the victims.
6 sanaan u shaqeynay Uber.
I worked for them 6 years.
Waxaan ahaa darawalka ugu fiican ay ugu jecel yihiin.
I was the best driver on the market for them, on the road for them.
Bonusigaygu marmarka qaarkood 1,000 bay ii soo diri jireen iyo 500 iyo wax la mid ah.
I used to get a bonus of $1,000 or $500 because of my hard work.
Hal maalina waxaa dhacday check waxaan qaaday fare lacagtiisu ay ahayd adiga 58 to 60.
One day I picked up a fare that's $58 to $60.
Kabacdi markaan fare ka qaatay waxaan aniga aan helay $18.
They give me the fare was $60, they give me $18.
Kolkan arrintaa arkay baan xafiiskoodii tagay subaxdii dambe.
Then when I saw that, I went to their office.
Wuxuu ku yiri Roosevelt xafiiskaasi Uber baa iska lahaa.
The Uber office in Roosevelt.
Kabacdi arrintii baan weydiiyay waxaan kursay ku dhacday.
I asked why I get paid $18 out of 60.
Waxaa la igu yiri arigaasi waxba nagama weydiin kartid adigu mailkaaga xisaabso inta ay ahaa mailkaad shaqaysay.
You cannot ask us how much we get paid and how much you get paid. You just find out how many miles you drove.
dhowr 2-3 jeer oo kala duwan markaan su'aalo khaldan oo la igu khaldamay la igu xadgudbay aan weydiiyay waxaan aaminsanahay sababta la iga xidhay aapka inuu yahay weydiinta aan weydiinay.
And there's multiple times I ask questions about the fare of the amount what do you call passenger get charged and amount I was get paid. So I asked them about that few times, and I believe that's why they terminated me, because of I asked questions about what I'm getting paid and how much they charging riders.
Okay, aniga oo 6 ilmood iyo hooyadood fiirgareeya darawalka ugu fiicanna ahaa 6,000 oo macnaha customerna qaaday sida aan recordkayga saan jecel inuu ka badnaan waa laga yaabaa ayaa hal mar la iga xidhay.
So I am a father of 6 kids with my wife, and I was a hard worker at the road, and I worked for them 6 years, and I picked up more than 6,000 fares, and I got fired without even asking a question or reason for it, and with no explanation.
Okay, subaxdii dambe markii la iga xidhay waxaan aaday xafiiska ku yaala Minneapolis South, Lindale.
After my app was terminated, I went to the office in Lindale.
Waxaan ku yiri say ku dhacday maxaa la iga xidhay?
I asked why.
Waxay igu yiraahdeen waxba kama qaban karaan anagu waxaad wacdaa headquarterka.
They said we cannot do nothing for you, call the headquarters.
Headquarterkii waan wacay aniga oo aan ishelin waxba aan isku gaarin baan anigu safar Afrika aaday.
After I did not get any response, I went to a family thing in Africa.
Kabacdi maalin dambe markaan soo noqday dhowr bilood kabacdi waxaa la igu yiri cash waxaa lagaaga xidhay qof baad cash ka qaadatay.
When I came back, they told me that my app was locked because I get cash from somebody.
Okay, cashkaasina ma jirin. Tip buu ahaa qof oo wuxuu ahaa nin buu ahaa waan qaaday tip buu siiyey markaan ay tip bay ahaydna ma inaga believe garaynin sidaas aan shaqadii kaga tagay. Saddex sanana shaqadii hadda waan ka maqnaa.
I told them it was a tip and they did not believe it, and 3 years I have no job.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next person is Awil Shire.
My name is Awil Shire. Thanks our city council today. I am a president of Minnesota Rideshare Driver Association. I'm a different of other organization, Mulda. I was negotiating with Uber. I have opposition to this proposal that will affect rideshare drivers in Minnesota. Minnesota Rideshare Driver Association, as a MIRDA, believes this bill, this opposition, this will have a negative impact to the drivers and riders alike. Firstly, the bill provides no safety protection like occupational insurance, accidental insurance. This is a major concern for the drivers who are already putting their lives at risk every day on the road. Secondly, the costs are so high that we might lose riders. It will be better to lower the cost to the $1.10 and $1.25 per minute and 25 cents per minute. For drivers, currently, drivers take home now 61 cents per mile and 14 cents. If we lose significant riders, this bill will serve the opposite of its intention, and we will make less. Lastly, the bill doesn't clarify our status as an independent contractor. This is an important issue for drivers who really are ride-sharing their primary source of the income. I argue to the committee consider the bill and consider the concern of the drivers and riders alike. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Awil, next person is Shire Mohammed. Shoaib Mohammed, sorry.
Hi, my name is Shoaib Mohammed. I'm from Minnesota Rideshare Drivers Association. I'm a public relation office. Actually, we are here with the council member in city of Minneapolis that all the drivers are working with the Rideshare Drivers Association. We need them to have a livable way that they can have a bread over the table for their family. That's what we are usually, all of us are here, although we have different organizations but different views. The current Uber and Lyft bills for 10 miles, I will just give you some numbers so that you have a little bit more understanding, and probably the numbers are always very important for this issue. So for 10 miles right now, it's $8.60 with Uber and Lyft currently, what the drivers are taking home for every 10 miles they drive. We had, as a Murder Drivers, Minnesota Rideshare Drivers Association, Murder, we had agreement with Uber, which means every 10 miles, they will make $18.50, and that was the bill that we agreed when something was going on in the Capitol, both house, and that was vetoed by the governor. The current proposed ordinance with City of Minneapolis right now for 10 miles will cost $25. And the bill was vetoed by the governor was $21.30 for 10 miles, which means $25 is $21 for the governor bill that he vetoed, and the ordinance with City of Minneapolis right now is $25. While we had made that organization with Uber, $18 for 10 miles, and then currently is 8 miles. So we are proposing that the bill that is good for the drivers and also good for the public. We are getting money from the public. It's not coming from the government, most likely, and all you have been elected by the public. So you need to maintain the public bucket, and also the drivers are among the public. We need them to be maintained and get at least more than that. At least they are making $8.56 better, $18 and above. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and we will join Council President. Next person is Shamso Arale. Kulele? Apologize.
Good morning. Can I pass this to, who was supposed to give this to you guys? The clerk? Good morning, our honorable council members. And so alaikum to all you guys that are here. So basically, I'm gonna make it short, I guess. We have 2 minutes. I'm working with, actually with Mulda. Oh my God. Mulda, and I'm from Somali Resettlement Community Services. So why I'm here today is, this is an issue that's been coming back and forth, and I know it's been a headache. So I wanted to ask you guys if you guys can work with the governor's team, which is nationwide, because this is going to only affect not even 10%. And they're already working on that. So with that being said, I want to move forward on with our progress of working with Uber right now, how we've been reactivating their equipments. And I've heard somebody here that had an issue, and I wish he can contact me, because we've been working with more than 300 of our drivers to reconnect and to solve the issues that they have with Uber. So with like our negotiation with Uber, now drivers are being paid 58, the time is so short. Okay, I'm gonna just repeat again and stick on, if you guys can please work with the governor's team, and the city will also be there. I feel like that's gonna be a bigger change and a better resolvement of this back and forth that's not resolvable right now. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Omar Mohammed or Ahmed?
Good afternoon, council members, chair and his council members. My name is Omar Ahmed. I am the vice chair or vice president of the Minnesota Rideshare Driver Association. Well, to begin with, on behalf of my organization, we are confused why we are here. This audience, in my view, will not benefit us much. Most of our trips as drivers start outside of Minneapolis. The airport is one of the biggest, actually, source of trips. If you want to support us, please cooperate with the governor's task force and help us draft a reasonable bill for next year. To me, the same bill was vetoed by the governor. There's already a task force that's in place. Some of the drivers, the organization opposing us here called MULDA, they have representative. What is the point of actually coming to Minneapolis again to come up with a bill that has been vetoed by the governor at the state level? This is a waste of time, in my view, and it is actually not helping us at all. This audience also, ordinance, resembles the one that the governor vetoed. According to MULDA leadership, who claim to be its authors, it was certain to pass today, and this hearing was just a formality. That's what they're telling us. The audience was not processed properly. It was written by MULDA and their lawyer. As they admitted, it is identical to what they proposed at the state level. The city do not consult with other drivers and other organizations like my organizations. Therefore, speaking as a Minnesotan and as an American, we feel this is waste of time. We don't want push and pull things. Everyone is looking for rights, and we have reasonable working agreement with MULDA, with Uber. We have been consulting with Uber for the last 4 months, and most of our concerns have been addressed. Why can't you be fair enough as council members and work with the governor's task force and pass that bill? I will leave it at that and pass this message for further consultation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next person is Khalid Al-Hihi. Khalid? Okay, next person is Daoud Kasa.
Thank you for having me here. I am here today. My name is Daoud Kasa, representing TNC, Transportation Network Company, and from the Governor Committee. I just want to say a little thing on the compensation of drivers in Minnesota who are driving Uber and Lyft. I am one of them. So the fare we are getting these days is really very low than which was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was started $1.95. Nowadays, we are paid less than 50 cents per mile. That is not really fair. Is not fair for us. So we are having family under us. They are waiting our hand when we spend the day and get home at night. We don't get anything from this job. The other thing that our lawyer was mentioning earlier, that most of our drivers are Muslims, they don't drink, but I am Christian, evangelical Christian, I don't drink, I don't use any drug, but I am affected by Uber that my account was deactivated 2 years ago by false accusation. They said you are under influence. I was not having in my life any alcohol or drug. That's my issue. And also they told me I proved myself calling the police, 911, and they came and saw me. They said, you are normal, you are not under influence. And they gave me a case number if you want to escalate the issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dawood. Next person is Salah Ali.
Good afternoon, Member Osman and everybody on the stage. My name is Salah Ali. Today I heard a lot of people talking about a little bit conflicts about a payment, but I'm gonna tell you the truth from my heart. When this guy showed up, the $4.95, that's exactly what they're paying for. If you go to the mileage from 10 mileage, 15 mileage, I don't see more than that. If you see more than that, let's say $8 or $10, it's gonna be from here all the way to close to the all the way past Plymouth. It's gonna be like 15, 18, 20 mile. So by the time you come back, you waste your gas, your back is hurt, your feet is hurt. It's not good enough. So plus you pay the gas money, plus you kill your car in mileage, brand new car 50 mileage. Next year will be like, damn, I got my mileage like almost like 160,000 mileage for $4. It's not worth it. So plus you get in your bag, you don't have a medical. You go to hospital, comes out of your pocket. It's not worth it. So also another thing, like most drivers, if you don't even make mistake, the passengers, he might like you, or maybe you talk to him, maybe you have a little body like language communication problem. He pick up the phone, saying like, this guy he do this. They not believe you. They believe the riders. They don't believe the drivers. So the next day you get like a deactivation. Always you don't know. Always you don't know where the deactivation come from. If you pick up the phone, you call the call center, you be on the phone for 7 hours, no one talk to you. No one talk to you. So even the people you talk to them on the phone, they cannot solve your problem. One more thing, I'm gonna add it up. So now they say every year what they do, background check. They say background check. And the background check was called like a Joker. Have you ever heard that? That's it, Joker? Right, when they send you that one, it's gonna be your background check for 4 months to come back. Background check, 4 months. What is the guy's name?
Thank you.
Muhammad was waiting for 4 months background check. He didn't do anything. They say like every single year we have to do
sir.
this.
Thank you. 2 minutes up. Thank you.
My time is up?
Yes. Thank you.
All
right.
I should give you a little more though. I got a lot of concern about this.
I understand. Everyone gets 2 minutes. Next person is Ahmed Hirsi.
I hope I'm gonna try something, but I don't know if it's gonna work. I'm gonna show that.
Thank you for Chairman Osman and council members. That's a picture of a driver. And I don't know, I hope you can see that. I'm showing that this is a guy behind me right here that get beat up and get injured in, they said picture more than 1,000 words. So I'm showing that that's what we go through. I want to talk about few things that there was a person here. Sorry. There was a person here who talked about being a member of a community, Somali community, and said she helped 300 drivers. That's not true. I'm a driver, and I help a lot of drivers who have a problem with with the app, and there's nobody about Uber or anybody who claims to be Uber representatives that help anybody regarding canceling their services. That's number one. Number two is if I talk about a little bit about Councilmember Rainfield, we worked with members of the House and the Senate long time, and they passed the bill. Governor stopped us, and now he made a committee, and as drivers, we have no idea if that committee will even come up with a result. And trust is very low to us because what we were asking, we negotiated with a lot of members to eliminate, we pay $2,500 deductible of insurance. We asked that to be looked at. We were told that's not what they're gonna look at. We accepted that, but still our bill was stopped. So we want city council members in Minneapolis to start the fight with us, and because our service starts from the city, and we serve the city. I picked up 12,000 people from Minneapolis. And so my work is in Minneapolis City. So I just want to make sure that that's the number one. And any questions that any member have, we have a lawyer, we have a MOLDA chairman that they can ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next person is Eid Yusuf. Right. Move to the next person. Eid Yusuf. Is that the Eid that spoke? Okay. Okay, good. Next person is Abdurrahman Abdi. Abdullahi Abdi. Is that you? Abdullahi Abdi, yes. Do you need a translator? We have a translator here.
Horta, magacayga waa Abdullahi Abdi.
First of all, my name is Abdullahi Abdi.
Marka hore waan salaamayaa xildhibaanada sharafta leh.
I would like to say hi to the honorable
Minneapolis City.
I would like to say hi to the honorable Minneapolis City Council members.
Intaa salaanta kadib waxaan rabaa inaan ka hadlo dhibaatada iga soo gaadhay Uber aan ku qabno dhammaan darawaliinta.
After that, I would like to talk about problems that we have with Uber.
Okay, waxaan ka booday inaan ahay xubin ka mid ah ururka MOLDA, Minnesota Uber and Drivers.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the problems we have with Uber as drivers, and before, I missed to talk about that. I'm a member of the Uber Driver Association called MOLDA, so I'm a member of that worker organization.
And 2021 dhibaatadaas aad arkaysaanba yaa iga soo galay aniga Uber u shaqaynayo.
Back in 2021, I have sustained those injuries that you can all see while I was working for Uber.
Minneapolis baan ka qaaday qof symbol baan geeyay markaan qofkii dejinaya ayuu nabarkaas ila dhacay.
So I picked up someone from Minneapolis and transported that person to St. Paul. When I attempted to drop that person off, that person assaulted me and attacked me and inflicted those injuries to me.
ninkaasi aan qaado saa ii dilay $4 baan ku qaaday 4 saac habeenimo way ahayd xilligan qaadayay. Ninkaasi aan qaadayay $4 baan ku qaaday 4 saac habeenimona way ahayd marka xilliga aan qaadayay.
So at the time, this individual that attacked me, I transported him four times before, and at the time when I picked him up, at the time when he assaulted me, it was around 10. I mean, it was around 10 a.m.
4 saac habeenimo 10 a.m. bay ahayd.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
10 p.m.
I'm sorry, 10 p.m. Yeah.
And marka dhibaatadaas ii gaadhay Uber wax xiriir ah ama wax dabagal iguma ayna soo sameeyeen sidii baan teleefankayga lagu qaatay anina la igu dilay dhibna igu gaaray.
So Uber has not made any contacts with me. They haven't done anything to help me. They haven't
taa markaan
try to do anything to try to help me out. My phone was taken away from me. I was robbed. I was assaulted. I was beaten.
taa markaan intaa uga baxo dhibka aan ka hadlayno haddana haysto oon darawalintaa saaxiibkay la qabno waxay tahay lacagtaasi inaan 13 mayl aan ku qaadno $4.94.
Okay, so after I stop talking about my situation and talk about the situation that I shared with my other colleagues, my other drivers, we transport someone for 13 minutes for like $4.94.
galankii gaaska ahana wuxuu marayaa $4.
Right now, a gallon of gas is about $4.
taasi waa arrin aan inaba la qaadan karin ama nolosha qofka bini'aadmiga asan waa ku fikiri karin ee saa wax u sameeyaan ama kambani u noqdaan oo sidaas ay mas'uuliyad u qaadaan.
So that's not something that's acceptable. It's not humane. It's not something that is conducive to good corporate citizen, and it's not something that we as workers and as drivers can sustain life and survive on.
intaasi waxaa dheer kambaniga waxay samaysteen aniga baabuur aan leeyahay waa taa Toyota Camry 2016 ah. Uber iyo Lyft waxay sameeyeen kambani ayaga ay leeyihiin oo baabuur ayaga ay leeyihiin oo ka kireynayaan darawalinta.
So for me, I have my own vehicle. I use my own vehicle. I have a Toyota Camry 2016, but Uber and Lyft, they have this plan where they rent drivers vehicles that they own. So the drivers are driving the vehicles owned by the companies.
mana siinayaan waxaan shalay oo u dambeysay waxaa dhacday aniga iyo ninkii raynti kaarka watay oo isgala fadhinaa call noo soo hal mar ay noo soo wada direen callkii isagay siiyeen marka ma siinayaan darawalin baabuurtooda dadka ugu shaqeynaya ay siinayaan callka.
So that's not helpful, because yesterday I was with another driver who was driving a vehicle owned by the company. So when the call for a ride came through, they offered that call to him first. They tried to help out the drivers that drive the vehicles owned by the companies, not drivers who own their own vehicles.
aad iyo aad baad mahadsantihiin.
I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Mohammed Aydrus.
Thank you, all of you, council members. My name is Mohammed Aydrus. I just want to clear out some things out before I start talking about the issues we're facing. So somebody talk about the governor bill. The governor bill is a different government entity. This is City of Minneapolis bill. So don't bring the confusion here. And there are also some other interest groups that were paid either by Uber and Lyft. So they don't represent the drivers. Some of them are not even drivers. They can talk. Everybody have their own. They are entitled to say what they want, but they don't represent drivers. So they've been paid by some other entities. So as other drivers mentioned already, we are facing a lot of challenges here. Base number one, safety, deactivation. Those are really problems everybody can see. You don't need an explanation, You can see it yourself. Everybody has taken a ride, right? Uber or Lyft. They know what we are talking about. The other day, just when there was a concert from the TCF stadium, I picked up someone from the stadium when Beyonce was here to St. Louis Park. They charged the customer $60. Because we talk to the people, right? They charge us $60, and I ask the customer, they only give me $18. Can you imagine that? 20 minutes, less than 15 miles. $60 versus 18. That's 70% of the fare they are taking. So this is what we are talking about. You don't need the whole list of encyclopedia book to understand, anyone to understand what we are talking about here. So also we pay everything, the cost, the gas, the repairs, tear and wear, everything is coming from our pocket, insurance, everything. So that's all I want to say. But these are two different things. So the city of Minneapolis and the state are totally different, People, interest groups that were paid should not, try to intimidate drivers here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Next person is Abdurrashid Yusuf.
magacaygu waa cabdirashiid salaan
My name is Abdushi Salan.
xildhibaanada konsolka waan salaamayaa
I'm greeting the members.
waa mahadsantihiin
Thank you very much.
waxaan ahay darawalada ka mid ah hubur iyo lafti u shaqeeya
I'm one of the drivers, Uber and Lyft.
waxaan inaan ka caddeeyo aan rabaa anoo shaqeynaya maalmo ka mid ah airportkan qof ka qaaday marka shil baan galay
I am one of the drivers in the city, and I want to tell you a story about one day I picked up somebody from the airport, and I involved in an accident.
accident marka shilka markaan galay dhib xoog leh ay gaaray gaarigaygu waa burburay aniga koon baan galay huburi left koon baan galay
Okay, he's saying the accident was very big. My car was totaled, and I was in a coma.
6 saacadood baan waxaan ku jiray region hospital
I was in a regional hospital for 6 hours with a coma condition.
gaarigaygii markuu burburay toor loos uu noqday canshuuriskii hubur iyo lafti ay geliyeen waxay ga goosteen 2500
When my car got totaled and I was in a hospital for 6 hours in a coma condition, Uber decided to subtract $2,500 from the money I get from their insurance.
caafimaadka inay ga bixiyaan way diideen
They refused to pay my health insurance.
dhibkii soo gaaray 2 bilood aan fadhiyay nin family aan ahay reer aan lahay wax macna
I did not work for 2 months, and I have a family, and Uber did not pay me while that time I was down.
marka waxaan is leeyahay sharciyadan la wado waxyaalaha safety qof macna ama dhaawacyada soo gaaraan waxyaalahaas oo kale dhibaatada dadka haysto way
So I came here to testify and make sure you guys understand how important this bill is, and our safety is in line, because I was in a coma for 6 hours, not able to move, and Uber decided to not even care, and that's what he's saying. That's why he is here, and there's people who got killed on this line of duty that they serve in the city. Thank you very much for your effort.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. Thank you, honorable council members. I think a lot of issues that's presented here is what we have worked with Uber. And we had a lot of drivers, part-time, full-time, and they all had one problem, which is a lot of problems is protections, and they had a lot of issues based off what's happening when they're driving. The main bill, the primary aim for this bill is to strike a balance between enabling drivers to earn a livable wage and also to have affordable ride share in the city. We worked with a lot of time, spending more time working with and understanding, negotiating with Uber and ride shares. And that we had an agreement with $17 per minute and 34 cents. Based on that, also I've seen some problems that even presented right here, included deactivation center. We have worked with a lot of people that needed a lot of problem with the deactivations. And also there is a problem with somebody had an accident right now. And we also negotiated with them minimum coverage of $1 million insurance while driver is in a road picking up a driver. We are really presented here to saying that this really enables a way to work with the drivers and the riders, both to create a balance. So both have the city and all of the state to reach the goal, which is the city to have all the riders that coming in to have affordable ride. Also, everything starts out of the city, including it starts from the airport. A lot of riders pick up rides from the airport and they come to Minneapolis or maybe they go other places. Our goal is to reach the main, which is for all the state to have all the drivers and everybody to be able to make a livable living. I am an Uber driver, a Lyft driver. I made $5,700 in 3 years with Uber, and nobody can be like, hey, you're making less on things. So somebody made 13 miles for $4, and our goal is to reach $20, $21 on average on that mile. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next person is Abdi Havi.
Thank you, council members. My name is Abdi Hawi. I'm with SEIU Local 26. I'm also a former driver for Uber and Lyft. Today, my testimony is just focusing about my experience during my time. I think based on what I know, this council approved Uber and Lyft back 2014 January, and I'm one of the few people who started that Uber and Lyft at that time. I started September 2014. When I look today and back days, you not even imagine how I feel like sadness, what these drivers now facing. I started a significant amount of mileage per dollar and minute. Since then, Uber and Lyft, they keep lowering and lowering and lowering until they now, you heard them saying 50 cents. Less than 50 cents per mile. What that telling us? That telling us Uber and Lyft, they do opposite to them. They all working on clockwise. And beside the safety and the issue that they facing, think about the cost association, changing the tire and costing and laboring and fixing the vehicle and insurance, everything and now in town is went up, and yet they've been called independent drivers. I was not independent. I was rely on their decisions they made every time, every morning they made. I cannot negotiate amount. I cannot debate how much I should get a fare. And also I was giving low rate because if I have declined something on a ride, I was also low rate on my acceptance rate. So I was not independent, and yet I was called independent. And think about, we need immediate relief right now. This issue cannot wait tomorrow, and cannot wait next day. They are losing every day money. So I hope you guys can do something about them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Next person is, can't read the handwriting. Sir Greenton? Sorry, I'll come back maybe. Next person is Joe Hessler. Joe Hessler.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm in Whittier, Ward 10, and I'm speaking in support of this ordinance. I think it's really important. Everyone deserves a living wage, and this will give Uber and Lyft drivers a living wage. I'm a member of ASPE 2822. Our union voted our local support to support this ordinance because many of our members, we had to become clerical workers, but many of our members work part-time to make ends meet as Uber and Lyft driver, and they know that the rates are unfair, and they also know that many of the drivers speaking today who do this full-time as well are even getting screwed over more than they are. And we all need to be in solidarity and fighting so everyone can have a living wage and afford to take care of their families. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Next person is Joe Hessler.
Thank you, Chair Osmond and City Council members. I have 2 points to make. I'm in Ward 9. First of all, my nephew Sam, who has Down syndrome, has a disability. He rides Uber all the time. He loves Uber. He's given trainings himself to other people with disabilities that ride Uber, but he'd be outraged to hear that Uber drivers can barely afford to pay for rent and are sometimes homeless. He's also has spoken out on racism and written articles himself that have been published, and he would also see that this is a issue of race equity that we need to solve. We need to pass this at the city level and not wait for the state. I'll speak on behalf of myself. I know that council members often hear reports from corporations that are here in these settings to threaten that they're being poorly treated. and their claim that this will raise rates for drivers has not been proven. And we need to not listen to that and need to listen to people on the ground who are working and providing wonderful service for people like my nephew. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next person is Paris Richardson. Richardson.
Well, thank you, City Council members, for having me. My name is Paris Richardson. I've been represent Lyft rideshare company. I've been doing rideshare for about 4.5 years, over 12,000 rides. It's really changed my life. The flexibility, getting paid after every ride, not waiting 2 weeks for a paycheck, rewards such as cash back on groceries. This experience has changed my life. It has allowed me to be more involved with my family. I do rideshare for the people in lower income areas who can't afford transportation on their own. I do rideshare for elders looking to go to medical appointments. While I agree that increased wages need to happen to help offset things like gas and other maintenance, but raising the price of rideshare to the point of being the most expensive in the country is not the answer. Think about that customer that can't get to a medical appointment because it's too expensive. Think about yourself. If an Uber and Lyft is so expensive that they're leaving the country, then you can't do rideshare altogether. Again, I do agree with the current proposal, but we definitely need to revise it. There are bad riders. Just like any business, there are improvements that need to take place. I've been assaulted on the platform, but there are safety measures like ADT, sharing your location to different family members. When I was assaulted, the company made sure to charge the rider $200 or something close to $200, and they were permanently banned from the platform. As it stands, the per mile rate is 64 cents, so if you, on this current proposal, you're looking at raising the prices about 2.5 times the price, which, for the average rider in lower income areas wouldn't be able to afford that. So please consider revising. It's very expensive to raise the price 2.5% more than what it currently is.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next person is Janetta Corsellanes.
Greetings. My name is Jeanette Corsilius. I work for the Minneapolis Federation of Teachers Local 59, and I'm speaking as an individual living downtown in Ward 3. Michael Rainville is my council member. I have been a longtime customer of Lyft and Uber. For years, I have been baffled by how little the drivers make despite how much we are charged for rides. I was infuriated that Governor Walz vetoed the bill allowing the drivers a minimum wage despite the powerful organizing efforts of MULDA. I am proud that the Minneapolis City Council is considering this ordinance. I've discussed this with many drivers on my rides in and around the city, and they want and desperately need this ordinance. I am urging you to pass this because the gigification of our economy is hurting the working class and the middle class. They're being paid poverty wages, and it is a safety issue that they have to work so hard and so long to make ends meet. Owning a car is expensive and hard to maintain. I have never had any issues with Uber and Lyft since the inception of this, both of their, yes, sorry. They take pride in their work and go above and beyond for their passengers through sunshine, snow, sleet, sunshine, smoke, sleet, snow, and rain. I want to push back on this narrative that customers wouldn't want this. I want this for the workers. I personally contemplated boycotting Uber and Lyft over their shenanigans, but MULDA did not call for that. Thankfully, Robin took the charge and the initiative to protect the workers. Jason and Jamal co-authored the ordinance, and to that we are grateful. I'm demanding that every single member of the city council pass it. This town is a union town. Let's act like it and pass this ordinance now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. On my list, I have two more people. Kenneth Smith.
Hello, council members. Thank you. I'm legally blind, and I've been using Lyft and Uber for the last 5 years. I do not own a car. It's my primary means of transportation. I'm on a budget. And I have not really heard, one person just earlier said that this would raise the cost 2.5 times. That would be a severe hardship for me. But I still don't think that there's a lot of good information out there about what is implied in terms of the costs. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kenneth, for your time, for your testimony. Next person is Mohammed Igal.
Thank you, City Council members. There is a myth, around there that says that this bill will raise the, to the public. That myth is not there, actually. That's not true. What we are fighting for is that Uber and Lyft are now collecting 50% of the fare fee. And what we are asking is, bring those 50%, 30% of that 50 to the driver, and don't increase one single penny to the public. So we're not trying to increase the rates on the public. That's not what we're trying. If Uber takes the fair share, the rates will remain the same the way they are. What we are, fighting about is that Uber and Lyft are trying to exploit drivers like a modern day slavery. What they're doing is not fair. They're collecting fare that's sometimes they take 45%, sometimes they take 65%. I even heard 80%. So they're taking more than what they deserve. They don't contribute nothing. They contribute something. They come with the app, but the driver is the one who is driving, who is maintaining the car, bringing the car, everything. So when you calculate that, what they're doing is not fair. So that's what it is. The other thing I can, if I have some time remaining, what I want to add, Minneapolis people love these drivers. They've been driving a long time. You can fall asleep the front seat of the cab driver. You don't worry about somebody searching your pockets, somebody doing, even you can trust them with your kids. So those drivers, to metro area, people love them and like them so much. They've been around more than 20 years. So everybody loves them. So you have to give them what they deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone that I left that have not spoken? Okay, seeing no further action, I will call Councilmember Chavez, who I believe have a motion to amend. I will close the hearing, public hearing, and call Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I would like to make a motion. It's a minor amendment to section 343.160 of the ordinance to add the language in front of all of you. It will read as follows: the compensation that the driver received for the ride. You should all have printed copies and should have received an email earlier this morning. It would basically allow the rider to know how much of their payment went to the driver.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Chavez move forward for amended ordinance. And now I'll call Councilmember Allison for a comment, or Councilmember Wansley for a comment.
Thank you so much, Chair Osman. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. But I just wanted to take some time to clarify a couple of things that I heard from the public hearing before you all consider the motion that Councilmember Chavez just moved. I just want to hear a couple of things that came up was around the lack of standardization of compensation. Today, I think we've heard differing amounts of what drivers are earning. And while it's great that some drivers have been able to pay their bills and not have any hiccups, in their experience with Uber or Lyft, we also have heard that has not been the universal experience amongst drivers. And it's for those reasons that we're looking to move forward with a policy like this that will universalize and make accessible, a standard rate of compensation as well as additional additional protections that all drivers deserve. And this is what this ordinance will provide every single driver, for them to be able to say, hopefully, the next year, I was able to take care of my family, my kids could go on vacation, all sorts of things. I'm able to, visit my nearby business because I make a living wage and I'm not struggling while working tirelessly at my expense. So I did want to provide some clarity on that. I also heard a lot around us, or this body, deferring to the governor's task force before we make a recommendation. I just want to clarify, as someone who sits in a legislative role, the task force is not a legislative body. A task force is an advisory body. And that task force, while it can make recommendations, nothing is authorized. The people on those task force were not elected by the public to do policy-making work, and that is the job of your state reps and your state senators, which this past legislative session both voted unanimously to move forward a policy that would support and uplift drivers of these rideshare companies. So our legislators at the statewide level did do their jobs. They said we do want to support and establish a basic minimum wage and other necessary protections for our drivers, because our state cannot thrive without the support of workers. So I just want to hold that because I think there is some confusion around a role of a task force, which is an advisory body. We use those here, but at the end of the day, no council member should be deferring their authority that you, as the public, elected them to utilize, to do policymaking, to allocate dollars through budgets, and to do government oversight. They should not be deferring those responsibilities to a state entity when you ask them to be responsive to your needs as Minneapolis constituents. We are elected to serve you. So I wanted to provide clarification around the governor's task force piece. As I've highlighted before, Minneapolis has been a trailblazer. We have not had a record of deferring our jobs to the state when it's come to showing up for workers, and we need to continue that precedence. I also want to emphasize one of the clear things I've heard from some of the riders today, also in the letters of opposition that we've now received from both the Downtown Council, Uber, Lyft, as well as the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce, that essentially passing any type of bill like what we're considering today with fair drives, safe rides, will have consequential impacts on the riders, which, as our staff highlighted, there's no data that traces these things. And it's very interesting that we have folks who were able to come and cite data, because that is not accessible even to your own policymakers. That is another piece of why we're doing this ordinance, to make data more accessible as we try to make informed decisions. But one of the things that I do want to clarify is we should not, as a body, be allowing a corporation or corporate interests or buying into the myth of supporting workers will come at the expense of the consumers. We should not be pitting our drivers' need for equitable wages against our riders' needs to have a quality service. They do not have to come at the expense of one another. And how do I know that? Because I just use Google, another great corporate tool, to look at the profits that both corporations, garnered just last year. It's very interesting that a minimum wage compensation could, double the rates for riders when Uber in 2022 got $9.1 billion in record-breaking profits last year. If we go over to Lyft, they received $4.9 billion in profits last year. And if anyone knows anything about Economics 101 or what we've seen as a trend around our corporations, those profits don't happen because there's a bunch of smart CEOs and shareholders who are running great businesses. Elon Musk should be a great example of that's not how it actually works. But it happens through the suppression of wages, often of workers. Those profits come off the backs of our workers working 5 jobs often, 4 jobs, working above 50 hours, missing time with their families. It's coming at the expense of them being able to pay their rent or buy groceries or send their kids to camp for a summer. And this is, again, both multi-billion companies, multi-billion-dollar companies saying that they can't afford to pay their workers a basic living wage. That's a problem for that corporation. That should not be a problem for this council or this body. We should stand with workers as we've done in the past. We should not buy into the myths, the doomsday myths that all corporate interests have used when it's come for legislators like ourselves, when we're talking about regulating them. I wanted to present some news clippings here, and I probably will bring them on August 17th when the full council considers this, of the same type of myths and doomsday sentiments legislators heard when they were considering ending child labor. There was a period in our history where literally folks was like, ending child labor will destroy businesses. That's the same type of myths that we're essentially hearing today, and we should not be buying into them. So I at least just wanted to take some time and hear and uplift a lot of the themes that I heard from the testimonies today to provide some more clarification of what has happened here. I also want to take a moment to just emphasize, and I heard this in the deference to the governor's task force, that this policy has not done enough analysis. I'm going to uplift our staff again of this conversation happened in September of 2022 when we were talking about taxi code regulations, because many of the drivers were facing similar things in that industry. And that point, that's when we became aware as a city of the inequities of these worker protections as it related to these TNC companies like Uber and Lyft. So this is a conversation that's been studied and analyzed since September 2022, far ahead of a governor's task force that just had its first couple of meetings a few weeks ago. And that, again, can provide recommendations, but not policy that will be enacted immediately upon approval. So I want to highlight that our staff has done their due diligence for over 2 years now to study this, to make sure we're looking at best practices, to talk to experts who've made these policies in other places, to do a rate analysis that this body has seen and that is available to the public around how we can reach that equitable threshold of wages. So I want to emphasize this body and me and my co-authors did a lot of intentional labor in analyzing and doing our homework and speaking with experts to get the policy that is before you today. So I just want to give credit to them and kudos to them. And with that, I will conclude. But thank you all so much again for showing up and testifying. And also shout out to the public housing folks here too that I see in the audience. We do need that public housing levy like yesterday. So thank you so much for being here too.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Allison. What do you want to make? Is there any other comments? Okay. I will make a comment. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. Councilmember Travis moved amended motion, and I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Ellison. Chavez.
Aye.
Chugtai. Chair Osman.
Aye.
There are 5 ayes.
That motion passes. And now,
Not
I
yet.
want to...
That was a motion.
Now, you want to go first? Okay. Councilmember Rainville would like to make a comment.
Thank you. So to my colleagues, I did vote yes to move this forward. I think it's worthy to keep moving this forward. I do have appointments on Monday with Councilmember Chavez and Councilmember Wansley, and I have a lot of questions. I'm not at this time prepared to vote on the full ordinance. So I look forward to answering your questions. I was not aware you were working so long on this ordinance because I hadn't been informed. So I do look forward to learning more directly from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to take time to really thank you all, the drivers. You have a voice. You came through the council diocese today. You're not alone. We are with you. Everyone deserves respect. Everyone deserves dignity, and we all trying to just feed your family and trying to do better. We are allowing a huge corporate organization is to operate in city of Minneapolis, we should have some kind of expectation and responsibility, and expectation from them to do that. They did come and roll around early 2012, around that time. We didn't know anything about it. Money gig or technology.com, we don't really know anything about it. We just got to be ahead of the game. We want to make sure, are they good for our people? Are they good for our society? Are they better for our community? I think what we're talking about, what's included in this ordinance, is just protection for you all, for our citizen. We're not here to gain anything other than just to protect the residents that live in city of Minneapolis. We do not hold accountable enough with corporate organizations. One thing I know that I hear from you, that I have seen, you are the one who provide the labor, you're the one who provide the gas, you're the one who provide even the data you're using that app. All they are providing is application to do that. So I do want to make sure that we're here for you, and I'm glad you all came and spoke. Many of you have been speaking to me and organizing, especially Mulda, for a long, long time. And you have came to us today. You have came to us today, and the public have heard you today. The council members have heard you. The writers have heard you. This is kind of organizing that that we need, that I'm glad to see, especially many drivers that are from my community that live in our wards, Ward 2, Ward 9, Ward 5, Ward 9, all the wards in the city of Minneapolis. Minority, people of color that do this job daily, waking up 3 in the morning. We're going to continue fighting for you, and I'm glad that today we passed this ordinance. We moved this ordinance to the council. Say that again? After what? Yeah, we just did, we did call the roll. Yes, I get it. We did call the roll for amended one.
Mr. Chair, I think, clerk can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was to get the additional language from the motion into the main motion. And
Main
now you have to
motion,
take a
okay,
vote
the
on
main
entire
motion,
package.
yes. The main motion, would you like to make a motion? Or the main motion?
Yeah, I'll make a main motion. I would like to say a few words too if you're done.
Sure,
Chair Osman.
I'm done. Thank you.
Fair rides, safe drives. I'm proud to bring this ordinance forward with Councilmember Wansley and Councilmember Jamal Osman, Molda workers, our labor partners, to ensure that thousands of workers in the city of Minneapolis are being protected and have dignified wages and safety. And I'm proud of the work that our city staff has been doing for the past few months on this ordinance. From the info sessions to the various meetings to get a race study with a memo to get it to this version that's going to protect a lot of people in the city. The official council process began on January 12th in 2023 with a notice of intent, but the advocacy for this has been long overdue, and it began years ago. For the past 7 months, we've worked really hard to make sure that it got to the version that it is today, to make sure that not only we can protect the drivers, but the riders that use Uber and Lyft. Uber and Lyft drivers have been very clear. They want to feed their families, they want to be able to afford a roof over their heads, and they deserve basic dignity and respect. And today we get to choose if we put people over corporations. Multi-billion-dollar corporations that like to control government have a lot to say. But today we're going to reject those scarecrow tactics that are trying to loom over City Hall. We should not ask people to wait to get food. We should not ask people to wait to get housing. So why should we ask our constituents, our residents of Minneapolis, to wait for the governor's task force, who vetoed the bill when it was passed by the Senate and the House? We shouldn't ask for that. Uber and Lyft have always had the power to address wages, to address safety precautions, to address a lot of the concerns that we heard today that have been gone unaddressed for years, ever since they came to the city. This vote is pretty simple, colleagues. We can change the lives of thousands of workers today once we send it to full council and hopefully get the 9 votes we want, or we could pretend the workers don't exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez, for your comment. Councilmember Chuktai.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I'll be brief. It's been a long afternoon, so I wanted to just thank the folks that came in today. I see a lot of drivers and riders, those from MULDA, the Minneapolis Uber and Lyft Drivers Association, along with our partners at Labor, SEIU Local 26, Minneapolis Federation of Teachers, Minneapolis Regional Labor Federation that are here with us as well. AFSCME Local 2822 member and Ward 10 resident who spoke earlier today. This is just really important work for us to be doing. All workers deserve to be safe, to earn a living wage, and to be treated with dignity in their workplace. And this is a really important step that we're going to take here in Minneapolis in holding multi-billion-dollar corporations accountable. It's been like Councilmember Chavez said, we started the work on this ordinance back in January of this year. In fact, the entire council voted to send this item to committee for us to work on it. So, we've been doing this work in public, and we've known that this is an issue that we're going to take up for months at this point. I get the same emails every council member does from Uber and Lyft, who've been reaching out to us just in the last day, again talking to us about the importance of waiting for the governor's task force to wrap up. Really, really appreciate the comments from council members Wansley and Chavez about the governor's task force and what amount of legislative authority it has, which is exactly 0. But I'll just end with gratitude to Amy Lingo, who has worked really closely with the authors, and from what I hear, has been just a delight to work with. Thank you for all of your work. Thank you.
Thank you. See no further comments, or I will now move approval for amended ordinance. And now I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Ellison. Chavez. Chugtai. Chair Osman.
Aye.
There are 5 ayes.
That motion passes. And see no further business before us and no objection, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you so much.
Good job.
It's been fucking 4 months.